it is.
Oh, hey, what's up, ladies and gents? It's your boy G here from Hybrid BMX. Good to see you again. So, as you can see, it's currently a little bit busy. Just working on taking the bars off of the old bike. Because I think today, on Hybrid BMX, what I'm going to be teaching you is how to restore old bike parts and my processes for doing that. I've done a lot of research and done a lot of work toward trying to make that happen. So that's what we're going to be doing today on Hybrid BMX. So we'll be back with you all in a second once I have this taken apart. So here's what we're doing today. Today I'm going to teach you how to get this awful rust. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. This awful rust off of a pair of old school V-bars. Now this works for just about any kind of chrome. This one might be a little bit tough because there seems to be quite a bit of pitting on this one. But I'm going to try my best, see if I can get it out of here. I'm going to teach you a couple different methods on how to get rust off of handlebars. So starting with number one. A lot of guys do the aluminum foil trick. Now, there's a couple different methods with aluminum foil. You get a piece of it like so. This is cheap stuff from the dollar store. Don't get crazy if you're just restoring parts. I'm going to leave the shiny side out and kind of fold it. I like to bunch it a little bit, personally. But then you just take it to your bars. So as you can see, this is where the grip was. It's pretty clean. You can see the chrome's pretty clean, but then if you come over here, you can see where the rust is starting to get pretty bad. So we're going to try the aluminum foil on that, just because aluminum foil does work. I don't think it works nearly as good as the next trick I'm going to show you though. But some guys use Coca-Cola. I just got this zero sugar Coke that my mom didn't drink, and I don't like zero sugar drinks. Or distilled white vinegar. Some guys use ketchup, which the only reason you use ketchup is because of white vinegar. So just go out and buy white vinegar if you're going to do that. Some guys will soak that in a bin for 24 to 48 hours. They'll soak a whole frame in white vinegar and it works. But let's go ahead and try the aluminum foil trick first. Aluminum foil dry. Let's see how it does. Okay. Not doing too bad. You're not going to be able to eliminate like all the pits, guys. Unfortunately, that's not really how that works. But it'll at least give it its shine back and get rid of the rust. Because what's happening is the chrome is a plating. Okay, it's a plating, and then they have the metal underneath. These are probably aluminum handlebars, I'm guessing. Or I'm sorry, they're steel bars, and they're coated in chrome. And what happens is over time, the porosity, gets a little, the chrome plating will get little cracks or porosity marks in it, and then the rust, the corrosion happens underneath. So what you're actually seeing is the rust of the bars underneath. I mean, some of these thicker areas though, that's literally where it's ate away the chrome. So let's hope that didn't happen, because I'm not going to pay to have these bars re-chromed. I'm just trying to get them ready for eBay. And if I get the majority of it off, I can sell them for a little bit better of a selling point. But there's the aluminum foil trick. Let's see. Do the inside right here, just so you guys can see. There we go. Because there's the aluminum foil trick. You can see where it cleared it up pretty good. But not nearly as good as this next method that I'm going to show you. The next method I'm going to show you is the one that I actually appreciate the most. This is Quad Zero steel wool. You can get it at Walmart, any department store, any hardware store will have Quad Zero steel wool. It's pretty common use stuff. But this is just the finest steel wool that you can get. It's the finest grade. And it should do wonders. It usually does. That's how I cleaned up the mongoose so well. Which, by the way, that this week is getting, hopefully tomorrow, I'll have that posted on eBay for sale. So, but let's take this on some of this harder rusted chrome right here and see if I can show you guys. Let's show you that. And here's the outside part. I don't know if you guys can see that good enough, but it should be pretty good. But I'm going to try to knock some of that out real quick. Yeah, here we go. Starting to go. But all you really need, guys, is just a little bit of elbow grease. And it usually just takes the rust right out for the most part. These are pretty badly pitted, so it's probably not the best example that I can show you guys. The mongoose is a much better example because it was pretty much just surface rust. So let me try to get this as best as I can for you guys, so you can see what it looks like with Quad Zero. Without any kind of helper like Coke or Coca-Cola or white vinegar. Alrighty. So, just to give you guys a little idea, there you go. It's a little bit closer. Let's go ahead and these are like V-bars, like old school V-bars are probably, gosh, over 20 years old. I don't know if they're, what brand they would be. Probably just some cheap department store brand, so they're not going to be a big seller on eBay anyways. I'll probably get, I don't know. I'll be lucky if I get 10 bucks for these bars, to be honest, because they're just that bad. But this is just using it as an example to show you guys how you can clean this stuff up. Alright, let's use a little bit of Coca-Cola, and what I usually do is I pour it into a bin like this, little like Tupperware type container. Then I'm generous with it. I use the whole entire can. Coca-Cola is pretty cheap, so and just dip that in there. And then scrub it up. Some guys use gloves, but my hands are so calloused from years of outdoor work and stuff that I don't really worry too much about gloves. But you probably, some of you younger guys that might be doing this stuff, you might want to wear some gloves. I'm not talking smack or anything on anybody's like hands or anything. I'm just saying you might want to save your hands, unlike mine. Let's see if I can get some of this heavier stuff out of here. Show you guys what I'm talking about here. We're getting there. Grab a little bit more. Now, once I get this done a little bit, because these bars are a little bit stubborn. Like I said, they're pretty badly corroded. So you clean up the best you can, but to be honest, this is the kind of pair of bars that you should definitely take to get re-chromed if you can after you do this process. They're still good bars, they're just rusty. But to give you guys an idea here. There we go. Just use a dry rag, clean that off, and dry it up a little bit. And then you'll see, this is what the rust looks like inside of the bars. I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's the outside of the bars where I was rubbing down. and see it's already much more cleaned up than it was. Like I said, not great. You don't have the mirror finish like you used to, but the rust is pretty much gone on the face, which is nice. So that's how you handle getting rid of rust on bars. I'm going to have to go to town on these. Maybe I'll put up a picture later on the site when I go to sell them of what they look like before I post them on eBay. But there's those. When I want to give you guys an idea of what else you can do with this Coca-Cola right here, and what I usually do, let me see what if I got. Yes, I do. Got a brushy here. What I usually use is a little wire brushing. You can pick these up at Dollar Tree for like $1, or like Harbor Freight for pretty cheap too. If you're here in America, I don't know what they have in other countries, but I know here in America we got Harbor Freight, or the Dollar Tree, or any kind of dollar store will really have these little wire brushes. And you just dip them, and you can use this for cleaning up rusty parts like this. What I'll first do is I'll dip my brush, and I'll start just lightly cleaning up. I mean, you're not going to really see the threads anyway, so I don't get crazy with threads. So I'll just give them a quick little scrape. Just scrape them up a little bit. Same on the outside. Usually with the outside, I'll use a little bit of the steel wool, just because I really want it to shine instead of looking like poop. There we go. It's tedious, guys, but it makes the parts look really good, and it makes them sell, I think, a lot better. I know if it was me buying something online, restored or refurbished, I'd want it to look really nice. So, and what this is really, guys, is just saving collectors time. You're saving a guy that, you know, might have a decent BMX bike collection, you know, and all he needs is a little gooseneck stem or a pair of V-bars for a build that's really not that expensive, and you're saving him you're saving him some time. So time equals money. That's why I have been cleaning up parts like this, because it seems like a waste of time, but I just sold a set of Diacomp brakes a couple weeks ago for $15, and they were just going to go in the trash, honestly. That's where I was originally going to put them, was just in the trash, and they sold really well. So, don't ever think that you can't make money off of old bike parts. That's just not true. Even mid-school parts sell really well. But, get these to knock out. That one knocked out pretty easy. This one too. And the one I'm using here, guys, is just a dead blow hammer. Just a regular old dead blow hammer. If I can't get this guy to move, it's not the end of the world. But there we go. Voila. Okay, got those to come out. So, and the nice thing I pulled off of these bars, if you can pull these off, these old like motocross type grips, like these old Bmx Moto Grips, these are really hot for old school BMX bikes, and these ones are in really good shape. They don't even look like they've been used really. So those will be a nice little sell on eBay. I could probably get away with selling these for like $10, believe it or not. So even if the bars don't sell really well, I can sell the grips. So don't take any part for granted. I mean, if there's some parts that don't look as good, see if you can clean them up. And as long as structurally they're sound and cosmetically they look decent, most people will buy them. Alrighty. Uh-oh. Navi's having a rough time. Alright. There we go. And that's all nice and clean. And you can do that with bolts, you can do it with nuts, any of that stuff. What I do with nuts usually is I'll hold them with like a rag or whatever. Folks, so unfortunately I didn't get to finish the video yesterday. Maverick is going through a little bit of a phase right now. He's about to be 3, and he's regressing a little bit behavior-wise, so it's hard for him to be alone. And Katie went upstairs to get some stuff done for one of the businesses that she runs, and he lost his ever-loving mind. That's what you were hearing, the screaming, this last little part of the video that you just saw. So that's why I didn't get to finish this video. It's when we're wearing a different shirt, it's a different day. But everything's all good, he's all good. But now we can get back to this video on how to restore bike parts. So these sat in here all night long, which is actually a good thing, because now I can show you how brilliant these turn out when they've sat in some Coca-Cola after they've been brushed and used a little bit of steel wool on them. Look how bright that turns out. Super shiny, really nice. And you can do this with any size part. I mean, if you can get enough Coca-Cola, if you can get a couple 2 liters of Coca-Cola and fill up a bin, or like maybe 4 liters of Coca-Cola, and fill up a decent sized bucket, I could probably put these bars in it, and it would eat most of the rust off of the bars. But a little bit of elbow grease goes a long way. As you can see from yesterday, now that it's finally dried, you can kind of actually see how that cleared right up. There's literally like no rust there at all. So with a little bit of polish, it'll look, these bars will actually probably look halfway decent once I get them all finished up. Get all the corrosion off of them. But I'm going to show you guys again real quick how to take care of like nuts and bolts. So we're going to pull these guys out of here because they've been sitting for a whole entire 24 hours, probably a little bit less than that, but pretty close to 24 hours. And I don't want them to stay in there too long because even though Coca-Cola, because of the acids in Coca-Cola, it eats all the rust out, it can also just start eating the metal too. Because it's very corrosive. The acid helps eat away corrosion, but then it can actually start eating the metal. So, yeah, and people drink it. Ugh. Just in general with Coca-Cola right now, man. I don't know. I don't drink Coca-Cola. I drink Dr. Pepper for Dark Pop. That's about it. All right, let's see. Where's this other one? There we go. But yeah, vinegar will work the same way, guys, if you want to use vinegar. I just hate the smell of vinegar, personally. And then it never comes out of your hands, even if you wear gloves. It takes a couple of days for the smell to come out of your hands. I just don't like it. Yeah, see how shiny these ones are? Look at that. Look at how shiny that is. Awesome. So those are the top bolts for the stem. And then these little, I could probably just go out and buy new nuts for it, but I like to try to see what I can get away with, if I can clean them up or not. Because if you can, that's really cool. I mean, and the nuts aren't really important to be super clean. If somebody really wants to restore that, they can. But for how much I'm going to probably get paid for this stem, it's not really worth that much. It's not worth that much to make sure the bolts are perfectly clean. But if you let these sit for a couple of days after you scrape them up, usually, like I'll probably wait a day or two, and then I'll come back and see how they did. Same with the washers. You can do the same thing with the washers. Just rough them up a little bit. Try to get some of that dirt off. Let's see. So yeah, like I said, you just kind of try to clean them up the best you can without throwing them in the Coca-Cola first. Don't worry, it doesn't have to be bubbly either. That's not, the bubbles aren't what does it. That's just carbonation. So it's just the liquid itself is actually what really actually does the work. has acid in it. I don't remember what kind of acid it is. I don't know if it's a citric acid, because you can also use, like, I don't know if you guys have like ever used Goof Off or whatever to get stickers off your bike. But you can also use like Goof Off or any kind of like orange extract or any kind of citrus extract will work too. But that can get kind of expensive. So, because like I have like a paint and varnish stripper that's orange based, and it was on clearance for $7. So, the idea with this kind of stuff, guys, with the restoring part of my business and refurbishing parts side of my business, is just making sure that I do everything as affordable as possible. Like, I don't mind putting the hours in, the labor. The labor is not a big deal. But money, you don't want to, you gotta spend money to make money, but you want to save money too. You don't want to spend a whole bunch of money if you guys are planning on making this a business for yourself. There's plenty of guys that do it. I know all kinds of guys online that restore bikes and flip them. I've joined a lot of sites on Facebook, a lot of pages on Facebook, which is worth it. If you guys ever are interested in this, if you want to learn how I learn these tricks, just go on Facebook and type in BMX restoration or old school BMX. There's so many guys that do this as a hobby. So, and then we're gonna finish off by cleaning off this top cap, which, like I said, the first thing I'm gonna do. Sometimes with these bigger parts, what I like to do is, instead of just using the steel wool and that, what I'll use is I'll use, I don't really have to worry about a degreaser because this isn't really greasy. It's a stem, so it's not going to have a lot of grease on it. But for parts that are around, like the sprocket, pedals, anything where there's grease, I'll hit it with a degreaser first, which is just a cheap degreaser that I bought at, concentrated degreaser that I bought at like Dollar Tree. And then I just flipped it into water, measured it out and put it into water parts per. I don't know what it is parts per, but it's close enough that it's not too much to where it's like sticky. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever used degreaser before, and it ends up kind of almost like sticky or runny. That's a good way to explain it. But I'll hit it with some soapy water first, just regular like dish soap and water. And just give it a quick little spray. And this is nice in the shop too to just have. If you guys want to keep soap and water is a good thing to have. It's a good way to check for. You can use it to check for tubes. If a tube is got a hole in it, it's a good way for you to find the patch where you need to patch it, because you can just put some soapy water over it and it'll show you, if it bubbles up, it'll show you where the hole is. So you can patch a tube. If someone just needs a cheap tube repair, doesn't want to spend the money for a tube, or you're having a hard time finding one, or you don't have one in the shop at that time, you can still make a decent little bit of money off of doing a patch, which I can do that as well for you guys that actually live here in Erie. Alright, so just wash that up. Just use a regular rag and some soapy water. And then what I'll do with this guy is the same thing I did with the bolts. Use a little bit of Coca-Cola in the dirty. This Coca-Cola is dirty Coca-Cola. So just use that and give it a little bit of a scrub. The same thing with the sides. And then that will be that. Alright. Use this rag to clean this up a little bit. And we'll clean up the part one more time. And then we'll dunk it. Unfortunately, you guys won't be able to see that, but maybe I'll post it on the page for you guys to see when it's all done. And then I put a topper on it. And what I do is I take the parts that are already finished. And I take this little, silly, but I get this little trick-or-treat bucket. And that's what I put unfinished parts in. Or finished parts in. Smaller components to hold on to until it's time to reassemble stuff and get ready for sale. So, But yeah, that's how you go about restoring chrome, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of Hybrid BMX. Next week, I think we'll probably be going over if the bike's sold. Also, I think we're going to start either fixing the kink that I have, or I'll teach you guys if the weather gets warm enough. I'm waiting for the temperature to get just warm enough, so that way I can show you guys how to paint a bike. If you want to know how to do that, I think I did a video like 3 years ago on that. It's on this channel. So go ahead and check that out when you get a chance. If you're here on YouTube, check us out on Facebook at Hybrid BMX Bike Shop. Go ahead and, or Bike Sales and Service, sorry. So that's Hybrid BMX Bike Sales and Service on Facebook. So check us out if you live here local in Erie or somewhere in the surrounding area and you have a bike that needs repaired, or you in the need of some parts. Mainly mid-school is what I have, is mid-school and newer parts. Let me know what you need, and I will be happy to get back to you. You can always write me too on bmxteamhybrid@gmail.com. Again, that's bmxteamhybrid@gmail.com. Thanks again, guys, for showing up. Peace, love, rock, deuces.